Hello everybody. Today I wanted to bring you a video on Pangea and Peleg. This is an interesting topic and I didn't know much about it, so I thought I'd share what I was learning. I'm no expert, so I hope that you take this as just an interesting course of study that you can pursue. So in the beginning, and I did not know this, and I probably should have. Probably many people already know this, and I'm just late to the party. But in the beginning, there was one landmass. I guess some refer to it in the scientific community as Pangea. In the JST, Genesis 10:16, and Peleg was a mighty man, for in his days was the earth divided. In Chronicles 1:19-25, or 1:19, and unto Eber were born two sons. The name of one was Peleg, because in his days the earth was divided, and his brother's name was Joktan. Genesis 10:25, and unto Eber were born two sons. The name of one was Peleg, for in his days was the earth divided. So we can see that this son of Eber was named Peleg because Peleg, we will learn what it means, that it means division, and that the earth was divided around the time he was born. So he was named Peleg, which means that the earth wasn't divided in the flood, but after the flood. That definition of Peleg comes from the Bible dictionary, and in Doctrine and Covenants 133:24 it teaches us, and the land of Jerusalem and the land of Zion shall be turned back into their own place, and the earth shall be like as it was in the days before it was divided. You might remember the Jaredites, when they're going across the sea to get to America, or the ocean, I should say. They say that they come to the waters, that they came to the waters that divided the land. So that's very interesting, because that would probably mean that they sailed across the Atlantic Ocean, because before the land was divided, there was no Atlantic Ocean. Interesting. Here's some interesting information from Apostle Orson Pratt from the Journal of Discourses. Adam was the first personage placed on the earth in the Garden of Eden, and having transgressed and having been cast out of the Garden of Eden, and having fulfilled a long probation amounting to almost 1,000 years, he concluded to gather together his children, which he did 3 years previously to his death. As recorded on the same page, he gathered Seth, Enos, Canaan, Mahalalel, Jared, Enoch, and Methuselah, who were successive descendants, making 8 generations in all, including himself, into the valley of Adam-on-Diamon. This was nearly 1,000 years after Adam was placed in the Garden of Eden. 7 generations of his children, or the righteous portion thereof, were gathered together in that valley. And here it may not be amiss for me to say a few words in relation to the location of that interesting meeting or conference. The valley of Adam-on-Diamon, according to the views and belief of Latter-day Saints, was located on the western hemisphere of our globe. I would here say that as the greater portion of this congregation are Latter-day Saints, the proofs and evidence which I shall bring forth in relation to the matters before me will be selected from those books which are believed by them, which may not be particular evidence to strangers, but to the Latter-day Saints they will be undisputed evidence. Adam-on-Diamon, the valley of God, where Adam dwelt, was located about 50 miles north of Jackson County in the state of Missouri. The Lord has revealed to us that Adam dwelt there towards the latter portion of his probation. Whether he had lived in that region of country from the earliest period of his existence on the earth, we know not. He might have lived thousands of miles distant in his early days. It might have been upon what we now term the Great Eastern Hemisphere, for in those days the Eastern and Western Hemispheres were one, and were not divided asunder till the days of Peleg. Adam might have migrated from the great East, gathered up with the people of God in connection with the Church of Enoch, and formed a location in the western boundaries of Missouri. This is not revealed. They are not yet found. We have the book of Ether, that is, not 1/100th part of the contents of those 24 plates, but a very short account. Whose findeth these 24 plates will have power to get the full account. For they give a history from the days of Adam through the various generations to the days of the flood, from the days of the flood down to the days of Peleg, and from the days of Peleg to the tower, which was very nearly contemporary with Peleg, and from the time for some 16 or 18 centuries after they landed on this continent. The prophecies of their prophets in different generations, who published glad tidings of joy upon the face of all the northern portion of this continent. Their records and doings are all to come to light, and these will help to fulfill the words of our text, that the knowledge of God will cover the earth as the waters cover the great deep. President Alvin Dyer stated, in the course of time from the creation in the days of Peleg, or about the year 2020 or 2200 BC, just prior to the confusion of the languages, the single continent of land that had continued from creation was divided to produce hemispheres as we know them. But notwithstanding this, the geographic location of the Garden of Eden was made known to the prophet Joseph Smith by revelation as here in the land of America, in Jackson County, Missouri, with Independence at the center place. John Taylor, in the days of Peleg, the Lord divided the earth. Hence, the eastern and western hemisphere, doubtless thinking by doing so he would have a better opportunity to preserve some of the human family from going down to perdition. But still the devil found ready access to the hearts of the people generally, and many became so corrupt that God had to destroy them. But before allowing his justice to overtake them, he saved unto himself certain good seed, and planted it in different parts of his vineyard. He took away the 10 tribes. We do not hear anything about them now, but we shall by and by. He brought the Jaredites here, and afterwards the Nephites and Lamanites, and placed others in other places. It's just some interesting quotes. I did not have a strong grasp that there was one supercontinent in the beginning, and then in the days of Peleg it was divided. I hope this was interesting to you. I know it was interesting little study to me.